Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we always have a lot to cover, a lot to talk about this week. Sports is back. Your Philadelphia 76ers have a game tonight against the Indiana Pacers in the bubble down at Walt Disney World's Wide World of Sports. And the Sixers are right now at the 6th seed in the NBA's Eastern Conference, trying to move up, and they're going to be doing it with a unique experiment with Shake Milton at the point guard position, and they're moving Ben Simmons to the number 4 position, the power forward position, and we will see how that works out today. This week, last week baseball came back. I had the pleasure of covering the 3-game series between the Phillies and the Marlins. The Marlins actually got the best of the Phillies in that series. But, of course, the big news that came out of that series is that 4 of the Marlins players tested positive for COVID-19. And then, as the week progressed, more players began testing positive. And from what I understand, one of the Phillies coaches tested positive. And also one of their clubhouse people who cleaned out the Marlins locker room, to the point to where the Phillies players have been testing all week. They've been found negative for the coronavirus, but it brings into question, the Phillies have not played since last Sunday. They shut down. First of all, they shut down their series this week with the New York Yankees. It's supposed to be a 4-game series with the Yankees, home and home series. And they shut that down. The Marlins have not played in quite some time because they're all being tested, making sure that they are not positive. And it made me write an article in the Philadelphia Sunday Sun this week. If you read my article, I wrote about why are we playing sports? Why? In this situation, why are we playing sports when this virus is basically ravaging the whole country? Florida, you get new cases every week. California, who did their best to social distance, they are basically suffering from all this. And then we're expected to have a football season. And by the way, the Eagles have training camp this week. The Eagles opened up virtual training camp, and I'm wondering, football is the word. Now Major League Baseball is considering shutting down. But football might want to think about it because, one of the things that people have not done in sports, and I'm hoping the NBA realizes this, and I'm going to talk about the NBA. I want to talk about the start of the season, LeBron James, your Philadelphia 76ers. I want to talk about that momentarily. But I wonder about whether or not folks are going to finish this season. What happens if basketball has an outbreak? I mean, they said they've done everything to sanitize and socially distance their quarters down in Orlando. And I wonder the wisdom of playing. I still wonder. I'm still skeptical of it simply because you're dealing with this virus. And speaking of virus, again, I hope everybody's socially distancing. I mean, I'm hearing things in the community. People out here having parties and all this other stuff and doing unsafe things. Meanwhile, a member of the President of the United States cabinet came down with it. There needs to be a national response if we want our sports to keep going. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get your opinions on this. I'm going to have John Mitchell call in at the bottom of the hour. He and I are going to kind of talk about it. At the bottom of the hour, I would like to have people. I want to have people talking about this, but the numbers to call in are 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900, and you can also catch me streaming live on WURDradio.com. If you're not near a radio, you get this on your computer. We're also live streaming on Facebook. And by the way, if you're watching me live on Facebook, one of the things I want to do, and this has been an ongoing thing throughout the summer, the Niggle League Baseball Museum down in Kansas City, Missouri, and I wrote a column on that this week. the Negro League Baseball Museum is doing their Tip Your Cap. And while I'm here, tip your cap to honor those players, you know, the Satchel Pages, the Josh Gibsons, and all those people who played in the Negro League, the Buck O'Neills. You know, they're honoring, this is the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues. So, and I'm going to join what President Obama and other people have done to honor the Negro Leagues. I'm doing this live on the air. You can't see on the radio, but I'm on Facebook Live. They're doing their Tip Your Hat campaign. And why is that important? In baseball, one of the most how can I put it? One of those most respectful things you can do as a competitor in baseball. Someone hits a home run or a guy makes a great catch at the wall, you tip your cap to him. Sometimes you tip your cap for someone for a job well done. So to the Stanley Glens of the world, the Satchel Pages, the Malin Ducketts of the world, played with the Philadelphia Stars, the guys who never got a chance to star in the major leagues, and to be honest about it, the Negro Leagues made Major League Baseball what it is today for the style of play that they brought. I'm going to officially tip my cap, give a tip of the cap. If you're watching me in the studio, I have the Baltimore Black Sox baseball cap. So I'm tipping my cap to those guys who play, and this is also a thing, to John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, all those who passed away fighting, because baseball was a part of the civil rights movement as well, in the sense that Jackie Robinson was the first freedom rider. He played in the Negro Leagues. Two of arguably the greatest players of all time, Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, who they played in the Negro Leagues, and all those who came after them. So I'm tipping my cap to thank those guys. Thank you for your service, and thank all those people, John Lewis of the world, all those people who passed away, Malcolm, Martin, all those people who passed away, so we can have a chance to be on the air, so we have a chance to have our own radio stations, to be a part of ESPNs and all those other places, because I'm a firm believer that, yes, we need diversity in the mainstream, but we also need to own our own too. So, all right, so what do we have with us? We have Joe from West Oak Lane. Joe, hey, what's happening? Doing? I'm doing great, man. I'm putting my hat back on.
That's good. That's good. Good to hear you get on the radio.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wasn't a great baseball fan growing up, but I had a really, really great T-shirt that was called the Negro League All Stars, and it had all the logos of all the Negro League teams that were playing baseball, and it got everybody's attention when I used to wear it. I was like, wow, and I remember when the movie came out back in '76, the Bingo Long and the Traveling All Stars.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
I found out that was pretty close to factual, the way things were, and so I had a conversation with my father. I said they should have left them where they were. He said, no, it wasn't really paying the guys right, just like it was in the movie. When it was time to get paid, sometimes the money wasn't there. So
that was, I mean, the Negro, those guys, man, for all their great talents, it was to a point to where the community kept them fed. I was talking to the guy who did the sculpting for the Negro League memorial up on 44th and Parkside, I think, 44th and Parkside in West Philly. And one of the things he said is that when these guys came out to play, they used to play out in that neighborhood that when the Stars had a stadium out there. They also played at Connie Mack, but they said that people, because they couldn't eat in restaurants, they would give them shoe boxes of food and things of that nature just to eat. Wow. And the thing is, we take for granted. We travel up and down 995, and if I'm in Delaware, I'll stop at the Delaware House, go to the bathroom, get a spiced chicken sandwich from Popeyes and all that. We take this for granted. And I remember when my mother was telling me that before the superhighway system, they had to go up and down Route 1, and even the places in the north, the so-called north, wasn't allowing African Americans to go to the bathroom, and we take those things for granted.
Yeah.
But But the thing is that, and I'm not saying that we are at the point where there's true equality. We are not, by any stretch of the imagination. But those players had to endure that. But they brought a level of play to the game. They brought a ferocity. And, you know, I interviewed David Halberstam, the great David Halberstam, and he talked about Frank Robinson, and a lot of those guys came into the league after Jackie. They had a chip on their shoulder. And they played, same thing Roberto Clemente, they played the game with a ferocity that we don't even see in this day and age when it comes to baseball. And they played because they played with that anger, with that, you know what, we're going to prove ourselves and all that. Because a lot, like I said, the Josh Gibsons and people didn't see Satchel Paige until he was well into his, you know, his waning years as a player. And so that's a situation. But I'm sorry. Let me let you.
No, it's all good. I remember my father telling me he used to in my old neighborhood. I grew up next time Toga. He used to see Jackie Robinson and Roy Cabanello walking around to his home because Roy lived on Smedley Street and Smedley and Pike, in between Pike and Butler.
Wow.
And he used to see him, and it's a placard up giving honor to Roy Cabanello. I was like, wow, you saw? He said, yeah, I could see him. I was like, wow, that's something. But switching to the 76ers, I like the young fella, Shea Milton. I like him. He's a nice combo guard. He can shoot. He's not going to be flappable out there on the court. But I tell you, a guy who I'm really getting tired of his act, man, and I wouldn't be surprised if he came up with a reason to miss a game because his goatee is going to have soreness in it. You know, I'm tired of Joel Embiid.
Why are you tired of Joel Embiid?
Because he's coming up with these tired excuses. I mean, soreness in your calf. Come on, man. Go out there and play. You stretch that muscle out. You get a massage. And soreness is not a reason to not to play in a practice game. You know, I'm just tired of his age. Always has a tired reason why he can't play, and it's the same tired excuses. My stomach hurts. I don't feel good. I mean, you get paid to play a game.
Yeah.
Play basketball.
Well, slightly in this defense, and I understand where you're coming from with that. I mean, I get where you are. I mean, I've had calf injuries. Sometimes it led to hamstrings, man. And so I understand that he wants to be healthy, but the thing is, I'm wondering how well he keeps himself in shape. See, that's the thing that bothers me about Embiid, is that what are you doing in between that time to keep yourself? You got to stay in shape. You know, stay away from Popeyes and, you know, although I like Popeyes, but
yeah, we all like Popeyes.
We all like Popeyes, but we can't eat it all the time. And even non-athletes like myself, you know, I'm retired. But the thing is, you got to have a good diet. You got to take care of yourself in the game. I mean, that's how there's a difference between Ray Allen and Allen Iverson. Ray Allen was able to last a long time. And I'm not diminishing Allen Iverson's greatness,
I know.
but you've got to take care of yourself, because when you get a little older, you can't run as fast. I mean, you're not as athletic. I mean, this is why guys like Jordan, you know, say what you want about Michael Jordan. You know, Michael Jordan as a player, you know, he became better because he realized he's not going to be Air Jordan 24/7. He's not going to be able to, you know, do those dunks I used to see in those Nike commercials. You know, he's not going to be able to cup the ball and do a slam. I still remember the slam he did when he was at Carolina against Maryland. I mean, he's not going to be able to fly in the air when you're 35. You're not, and you got to.
So he started using the jump shot.
He started using the jump shot and started, you know, taking the ball to the basket in more conventional ways, and you have to learn that kind of thing. And I'm hoping that Embiid and both Ben Simmons learn to evolve their games. I mean, I think Ben is trying to, not Ben, but Joel's got to, you know, keep his head. If Joel can keep his head in the game, he might be a great player. He might.
I think another thing with Joel Embiid is that it seems to me every time a lot of attention goes to other players on the team, he always has a gripe. And I remember how Shaq was jealous of Penny Hardaway.
Mm-hmm.
And Shaq was jealous of Kobe. And he didn't like to share that spotlight. And it seems to me like Embiid seems to be that type of guy. I remember when we had Jimmy Butler, and Butler scored 38 points back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I heard was Embiid talking about, I had to get my touches.
Well, he didn't.
My touches where I want my touches. You know, why are you talking about your touches and we trying to win a game and you got a player here that had a Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant gene in his game? I wish we could have kept Jimmy Butler because I think he's the guy that could have took us all the way to the championship.
Well, you're probably right, but thank you for the call, Joe. I got to move on. Maurice from North Philadelphia.
Hey, Charles. All right.
Hey, how you doing?
I want to make a couple points.
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to talk about Philadelphia sports in the high schools. We're the number 6 largest city. We're the number 1 poorest city. Which we don't, first of all, the black community don't understand business and sports business.
Mm-hmm.
We're the number 1 poorest city.
Right.
You take Texas. Texas are having stadium wars. Small places in Texas are having stadium wars, meaning that they are spending on high school stadiums anywhere from $40 million to $100 million for a high school stadium.
Because football is big in Texas.
We understand that, but it's not about football. It's about having a community relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's the culture.
Right.
You can build whatever you want to build. It's the culture. In Philadelphia, we don't have that culture. We don't have that relationship with the community who have a relationship with their school. We don't have that. The only place that did have it one time was in the Frankfurt neighborhood. That's why Frankfurt produced so many championships, because they had that relationship with their community, vice versa. And now as we move on, you said you want diversity and you believe in integration. If we study the history of economics from 1865 up to civil rights, 1964, we was denied wealth and property by law. Until this day, we only get 1% of the contracts in America, black people.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we say we want diversity when diversity hasn't worked? If we took Black Wall Street and had Black Wall Street still stand today, and integration didn't take place, what is Black America today? Black America will have more millionaires than anybody in America.
But the thing is, you have to do both, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm gonna tell you why you have to do both. Because the thing is, what Du Bois and what Booker T. Washington were trying to, they were both right. You got to have your own businesses, but at the same time, you also have to realize that, you know, a lot of African Americans weren't getting access to loans. Tulsa was one place in the country. It wasn't the whole country. And they weren't getting access to loans. They weren't getting access to housing and all these other things. The thing is that you have to be able to use that, you know, that money that you make to also go after those in power. And you have to do both. I believe, like I say, every other group in this country that's prospered, yes, they have their own businesses, but they participated in a larger society. You can't necessarily, and the people have got to make society make these changes. We talk about the police and what's going on. You've got to make them too. You can't have division. You can do both. I firmly believe that. And you can't be in a situation, because not all of us, our businesses can't employ all of us. Okay. The thing is that you got to basically, you got to basically vote with your dollars. I mean, King talked about this years ago. I mean, you can do both. I mean, there's nothing, I believe in black banks, but you got to be able to do both. And you got to be able to access the ordinary people by voting and keeping their, and holding politicians, even the ones that look like us, accountable. We can do both. And that's how I see it. So, but like I say, but Maurice, you make a good point. Okay. So I got to go to break. Thank you for the call, but I got to go to break. And when we come back, we'll talk to Willie and Gary. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Support independent black media and join the onWURD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
As the Philadelphia Housing Authority's offices remain closed to keep everyone safe, residents can now make their payments online. Go to pha.phila.gov and select the online payment option. PHA is opening doors to opportunities.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time Shiro to all of us. You nurture, we listen. You teach, we thrive. You lift our spirits, but we've got to lay down the truth. It's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. Start saving more for retirement now, so you can feel prepared and live your life to the fullest. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
A message brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at Forward. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Okay, we're back. Okay, now we have on the line with us Willie from Winfield.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to talk about the show that Channel 10 had on last night on race and sports, and I thought it was a half-baked effort on their part to talk about race and sports in this current situation that America is in. Mm-hmm. They talked about the relationship when Jackie Robinson came into the majors and how the Philadelphia Phillies treated him. Mm-hmm. But the analysis, the way in which they discussed the relationship was very poorly reported. The Philadelphia Phillies, for those who don't know and for those who do know, the manager at that time was so racist and arrogant and obnoxious and ignorant that he threw a black cat out on the field when Jackie Robinson came to play at Connie Mack Stadium. Not only that, but the players spiked Jackie Robinson's ankles on purpose and made him bleed. The show that aired last night on Channel 10 was very poorly reported, and it talked also about Dick Allen and how Dick Allen came here one time. He stayed. He made some comments, and the Philadelphia Phillies traded him the next day. They brought him back, and all of a sudden, the Philadelphia community kind of coalesced around Dick Allen and Dick Allen's talent. But I think in this time that these high-paid players are starting to realize the platform on which they sit, in which they stand, they can really, really make a significant change in America by taking a stronger stance in race relations and in sports. Because the owners, they're multi-billionaires. Mm-hmm. They're multi-billionaires. In football, you can't buy a team unless you have $120 billion. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but that's the kind of amount of money that a pro football owner has to have. But these athletes now that they're seeing that they have a platform, and the WNBA is taking up the platform of Breonna Taylor.
Did you see the NBA this week? Did you watch the NBA games? Did you see them taking a kneel and some of the jerseys that they were wearing?
Yes, I did. Yes,
Right.
I did, and I was very, very proud, and I thought it was an outstanding effort. But on top of that, the WNBA and the NBA players, they can speak out on the fact that the WNBA players who are as talented and as skillful as the NBA players are not paid on the scales of the NBA players. So we're talking about racism, we're talking about discrimination, we're talking about pay equity, we're talking about a whole list of issues on which this time these very highly paid, very respected players in football, basketball, baseball can really, really coalesce this country and make this country understand that the history of race in sports is intertwined, and that we need to understand the history and go back and analyze how we were treated. And I think that if they start raising that issue, and really, really making people understand in simple ways, and showing and demonstrating through words and press conferences that the show on Channel 10 last night would have been a better presentation on Jackie Robinson, and it would have been a better presentation on race relations with the Philadelphia Eagles and Colin Kaepernick. They need to step up, as Muhammad Ali sacrificed his 3 years of his career.
Absolutely.
And he was at the height of his career, and he made the determination that I'm not going to enlist, and I'm not going to fight in a foreign land where people have never discriminated against me. I'm going to sacrifice. And these players that are making millions and millions and millions of dollars need to step up to the plate and really understand the pain that the black community, the Hispanic community, that we're facing, and they can do it. They can do it.
And the thing is that they come from these communities. Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly, because I do think, and a lot of times, I didn't see the thing on Channel 10 last night, and my thing is sometimes the problem with those kinds of things is that they're never honest. Like what happened to Dick Allen Dick Allen wore kind of embodied a kind of a style where a lot of players wore their helmet in the field. When I was a kid, I used to think that was cool until I found out the reason why Dick Allen was wearing a helmet, because people were throwing stuff at him.
Exactly.
And people were throwing stuff at him. I mean, same thing. Dave Parker used to do the same thing in Pittsburgh with black, and this was way beyond Jackie Robinson. The thing is that what I like the fact is that these athletes are speaking up. They're not like say the Jordan generation where I don't want to talk about race. I like the fact that these guys are finally speaking up and empowering themselves. I mean, Colin Kaepernick, by taking a knee, did probably. I mean, and the thing is, I don't know if he's going to ever get back in football, but he sparked a movement. And sometimes, the Kurt Floods of the world, people like that, they don't always reap the rewards of what everybody is fighting for. So I got to move on to the next caller. Willie, thank you for the call. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we got Gary from Southwest Philly.
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Gary, no problem, man. How are you?
Wow, hey, I'm great. I wanted to say, your previous caller,
yeah,
man, he just stole all my thunder. He was I'm serious, that he put it down. He was so on point. And what really bothers me about our athletes today, just to mention Colin Kaepernick, when he took that knee, they drew it all out of proportion. He did that to protest the injustices that we as black people have been facing ever since we've been on the soil, right?
Right.
I really have an issue with the other NFL players. They should have stood with him.
You preaching to the choir, but go on.
It makes me so angry. You guys, some of these guys came from communities where they were so poor they couldn't even spell the word poor. But they rose up, they made all this money, and it's a sense of selfishness. And when that brother talked about Muhammad Ali, that's my hero.
Yeah.
At that time, when he was at the height of his career, like he said, I'm not going over there to fight them Viet Cong. They didn't call me the N-word. They didn't do this, do that. He lost so much money. People cannot believe how much money he lost during the time. But he sacrificed that. And I respect him to this very day and always will respect him for taking a stance. And I'm going to say a lot of the athletes today, and I'm not saying this because out of jealousy because I'm not making millions and millions, they're selfish. They're extremely selfish because to whom much is given, in my opinion, much is required. These guys ride around, they got all these exotic cars and the big homes and everything. And don't get me wrong, there are some athletes that are doing things we don't know anything about. They're contributing to their community, doing things for people, and I know that's happening. But we have to come together as a collective, as a people, because if we go back, you know, when I think about these NFL teams, I think of slavery. You own a plantation, an owner. No, you're my employer. You're not my owner.
Right.
You understand? You're my employer. I work for you.
Or better yet, business partner. I would say more accurately, business partner, because
you're right.
I wrote a story. I interviewed Bill Rhoden, and one of the things that, you know, I remember Adrian Peterson said they treat this like a plantation. Well, here's the thing. And for athletes, you know what? Nobody goes to a football game to see, no one goes to a ball game to see Jeffrey Lurie, you know, sit in the owner's box. No one goes to see Jerry Jones or the other little guy down in Washington, Dan Snyder. They go to see the athletes put the money, put the people in the stands. The owners, on the other hand, they do provide the venue, the stadiums, and the place to make money. It's a partnership. It's not. I mean, those are millionaires and billionaires. But that's and to be honest about it, all of American working life is a partnership. I mean, I find it interesting that a lot of poor working class people who are in unions always take up the side of big corporations and everything, even though those corporations would rather ship their jobs overseas. You have to realize, you know, don't get mad when SEPTA goes on strike. SEPTA's trying, but, you know, if all workers came by and joined together, maybe we might have better wages. How about that?
No, I agree with you because I'm recently retired and I work for a municipality involved with the union. And I told people all the time, you got to be active, you got to be engaged and be involved. If not, you know, you're not going to get what you deserve. And, you know, we have people in politics that represent us, and really, as a black man in this country, and I look at our people, we built America. It's no way that our people should be in the condition that they're in with the extreme poverty and the situation that's going on. So I'm just saying, as a collective, we have to be more socially conscious and love one another and come together and stick together. Because if we don't, we're in real trouble. Thanks, Chris.
No problem. We got to move on. Mike from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How you doing, brother?
I'm angry. I'm really angry, and I'm gonna stay in lockstep with these brothers. And here's why I'm angry. And I really love your show. I listen to it as often as I can. When I think about the opportunities that the black athletes have in terms of really pushing the narrative forward for young athletes that are going to become behind them, community initiatives, etc. It's not about getting on ESPN.
Right.
It's not about putting Black Lives Matter on a basketball court, etc., etc., etc.
I agree.
It's about what I said. I've been saying this to you for 3 or 4 weeks. Black athletes have the opportunity to support black businesses, specifically black media. There's no reason in this city, again, that Deshaun Jackson and that situation that he had, he's got a voice right here. He's got support right here. And not just him, every black athlete in this city, megastar or not. I've been listening to WURD, HAT. Johnny Sample was successful in having some on, but not nearly as many as the athletes in the city of Philadelphia. So I'm just dealing with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And they don't support black media. So I don't want to hear it.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this, and I don't.
So I have one more point, and I appreciate it. Go ahead.
No.
So the podcast that all these jokers have, I could care less. They have a national platform for it. If you are serious about advocacy, activism, love for your people, love for your community, you have a black-owned, female-owned media station right here.
Right.
No excuse. There's no excuse whatsoever. This station goes out on a limb. They advocate for these athletes when they're done wrong. They do not support WURD.
Or the Philadelphia Tribune or Scoop USA. I agree. I agree with you.
So, you know, I don't mean, you know, I say I'm angry because I'm not concerned about anything else except for real support when you have the ability to do it.
Right.
For a media outlet like this. There's no compromise. And I am proud of the young brothers that support Breonna Taylor. I am more proud of the sisters from the WNBA. And if anybody has a real opportunity, it's going to be those sisters, not those brothers. It's going to be those sisters who are going to change the narrative. And lastly, I watched those lowly Sixers again, same thing, and Jimmy Buckets couldn't have said it anymore. When he was here, he said he walked into a room and he said something about what you think you can control him. Philadelphia's been doing that to black athletes. I'm 63. I mean, I've been watching sports probably since the 60s. They've been doing that to every black athlete that's come from this town, and that's why it's hard for them to win a championship, because they always want to mold or look for this prototype black athlete that they can control. And that performance last night was a disgrace. They had the game won, and their coach is just inept. I'm sorry I screamed. Again, I'm a lot angry about the lack of support for the black athletes in this town.
Well, can I say something to that? Because I've been, when I was a reporter at the Tribune, and a lot of times we wanted to get guys, you know, with some of the teams. I'm not going to mention the teams, and you know, we had to fight in many respects to go through PR people and go through a lot of people. A lot of the athletes who come here are probably sheltered from black media outlets for some reason. We come out, we go to them, and we cover them. Don Hunt and Darryl Bell and John Mitchell, we all go out and we cover these guys. And you're right, a lot of them just don't know that we're here. I mean, we talk to them all the time, and a lot of times, sometimes, and I think some of the team's PR people, I'm not going to say who, but a lot of the PR people, you know, tend to kind of drift them away from talking to us. Or sometimes it's hard for black media outlets like the Philadelphia Sunday Sun and maybe even WURD to get access to cover the games, okay? You got to fight to get access. I mean, the Sixers, I'm still trying, and I'm going to put this out there. The Philadelphia Sunday Sun has been trying to call the Sixers for the last few years to cover the Sixers. They won't give us access, okay? And from that standpoint, you know, we got to make these guys aware of that too. But we need a community to talk to these teams to say, look, give black media outlets the access, and don't sit us way up in the rafters in the press box. I mean, don't sit us. I mean, and don't put us in the main press boxes, but don't, when it's at Sixers game, put us way up somewhere sitting in nosebleed seats. Okay. I mean, and that's the kind of thing that I've dealt with in this town as a black reporter. Okay, or a couple of other people I know. I know, a couple of my friends, Ron Glover, Mike Tillery from the Starting Five. They had to fight to get that access, to get to the Eagles and all those other things. They let small white, websites come in, but they don't let black. They for some reason, and I'll talk about that whole thing when we come back from here. I gotta go to break. Y'all got me going now. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media, and we are Black Media. We'll be right back.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
The coronavirus continues to affect us all, and AARP is here in Philadelphia, actively supporting you and your community. Every day, they're providing trusted information from experts, working to protect people from fraud, supporting family caregivers, and making it easier for neighbors to help neighbors through the new AARP Community Connections website. Learn what AARP is doing to connect and support our community during this unprecedented time. We may be apart, but we're not alone. Click to connect at aarp.org/near you.
No fear, just facts. This is WURD, Independent Black Media. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Hey, we're back. Now, before I went off on my tirade, but I gotta say, sometimes black media outlets have a hard time when we write to get credentials, because you gotta email all the proper people, because we get treated different. Because we're weekly or bi-weekly, or like the Tribune's might as well be daily now. I mean, we're all kind of daily now because of the internet and because of websites. And it's a thing where when I was with the Tribune and I was covering baseball, I was trying to get into the Baseball Writers Association. And one of the people that was telling me, they told me at the time, although I found out some, different people tell you different things, but because I didn't follow the team from city to city, because in many respects, black media outlets don't have, the money to really pay you to go around the country. A lot of times when I covered Super Bowls, I paid partially out of my own pocket, but I've also had other people sponsoring me. But the thing is that sometimes they use that as an excuse to not give us credentials, or we have to fight to get credentials, and it's a lot of other things that also the black media has to deal with, because sometimes, some places I've worked, don't necessarily like sports. I'm not going to say which one. Some of y'all who know me know which one I'm talking about, but they don't put that kind of money into that. So, it's a combination of things. And you're right. And Mike from Columbus is right. A lot of these black athletes don't know that there are black media outlets out here. Okay. So we got Clyde from South Philadelphia. Clyde, sorry to keep you waiting. What's happening?
Hey, Chris, man. Thanks for taking my call. And shout out to Eric, man. Eric is doing yeoman's work on the boards, man.
Oh, no doubt. Eric
working hard all week, brother.
Eric is the man. I mean,
yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean Eric and like I say, so is my man David Fritz too. I gotta mention Fritzy. I never, you know, I don't mention Fritzy. I call him David. I call him Fritz. I mean, I call him just Fritz, but David. But you know, David. You know, I miss him. That's my jazz man, and all the producers here, everybody who works in black media, the reporters, whether we're talking the Sunday Sun, the Tribune, Scoop USA, West Side Weekly, whatever small papers that are out there. We try to do a good job, but the thing is, we need a community to support us, to support URD. Become a member, become a Word member, become, you know, support, you know, buy the Tribune. You may not agree with all things they cover, and if you disagree, you know, write them letters. And so from that standpoint, you know, from that standpoint, it's just one of those things where, you know, we gotta support our media outlets. I just believe that you all can make us better by supporting us. I mean, we may not always agree on things. No, it's not contingent. You're calling here is not contingent on me agreeing with you, or you have to agree with me. But you gotta support us. You gotta support what we do. We're not perfect. We're not perfect. But you gotta have an outlet. Go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in about the Niggle League Museum, man. I went there. I was blessed enough to go there years ago at the original one. I don't know if they finished rebuilding the other one. I know it went through a little vandalism and a flood and things of that nature. I hope that it's up and running. But I mean, it's a treasure, man. When I went through there, I was just in awe. You know, back about 8-9 years ago, and I was just in awe of what I seen.
Isn't that a great place? I mean,
oh my goodness, man, and just where it's located at, you know, it's like I think there's a couple of jazz clubs down the street, and
it's right near the Jazz Museum too, right?
Right, and that area of Kansas City is really nice,
right?
Really nice down there, and you know, just happy anniversary to them. I think you said it was a 100-year anniversary for them, and man, it's a treasure. And I think that, you know, like you said, you know, supporting black media, I think we need to continue to support that. And I don't know if you remember, I think Real Sports did a thing on this little white kid, man, that was really keeping up with it. And I mean, I got to get a white kid kudos, because he was the only one out there that's really looking out. And I mean, we should do a better job ourselves at telling our own story. But he really captured the essence of, you know, the Negro League at the time. And I think he still keeps in touch with a lot of those players.
Right.
So I just wanted to really chime in on that. Now, getting to this NBA and these players. My opinion, Chris, man, I mean, it looks like a setup. And I say that by saying this. You got all these millionaires down in Florida, where this virus is spiraling. I mean, it's just almost out of control down there.
Absolutely.
You got all these athletes in a bubble. They can't go anywhere, and then you're going to feed them. I don't know, Chris. It almost sounds like the Tuskegee experiment to me. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, you got a lot of, like I said, black millionaires down there. It's epic down there. I mean, I'm looking at it from that standpoint. You know, it's dollars over lives.
And I understand. And you know what? I understand that. And I look at it in the same way.
Chris, the other thing is this here. What's the most contact sport out there besides wrestling and boxing? It's basketball. You got people breathing on one another. They sweating on one another.
Football too.
Breathing on one another.
Right.
You know, and I mean, to me, it's a recipe for disaster. That's how I'm looking at it. I mean, and then, you know, you want to highlight the fact that the first player that caught it is the first player that made a basket, and it's like, this entertainment stuff is killing me right now, Chris. It really is. Because
I got you, man. I hear you.
We're talking about human lives, and I mean, I remember I called one show when they had this guy on. I'm not even gonna mention his name, but he's part of their system. You know, one of our people. And I'm listening to this guy. He's like, "Well, you can go up the street and die from this." I'm like, "But that's an unexpected death."
Was that Jason Whitlock?
Right now, you know what I'm saying?
Was that
walking into something right now? And I just, for me, Chris, I got a problem with that.
You know what, Clyde? I agree. You know, if you read my column in the Sunday Sun this week, if you read my column, that's what I talk about. You know, why are we doing this? I mean, the Major League Baseball, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope that players can play and protect themselves. But I'm like you, Clyde. I'm skeptical of this. I'm skeptical, especially in football. You know, colleges. You know, Clemson had about 37 guys who came down. Clemson's football team who came down with COVID-19. And and anybody can get it. I mean, don't listen to Donald Trump. Don't listen to anybody. You know, listen to my man Anthony Fauci. You know, the thing is that we're trying to fit the sports around the virus, sports into the virus. The virus ain't trying to hear you on that. You got to you got to understand where this virus is coming from. And this is why I say we shouldn't play sports. You shouldn't play until we have and the thing is, had the idiot in the White House, yes, I'm saying it, you can ban me from Facebook or whatever, but that the idiot in the White House had a comprehensive national plan to deal with that, we would not be having this conversation right now about sports.
Not at all.
Not at all. And as far as I'm concerned, and Clyde, I got to move on to the next call, but I thank you for the call,
right,
Clyde.
Thanks, Chris.
But I appreciate, what you're right. You're right. I'm skeptical of this. Rob from North Philadelphia.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay, man. How are you?
Doing good, man. And great show as always. I love listening to this, man. This is the best sports show in Philly.
Thank you.
But, you're welcome. Well deserved. But to your earlier, what you earlier started talking about on your program was the Niggle League.
Right.
And we were the problem, man, when it came to the demise of the Negro League. And the demise of the Negro League was also the demise of our economical growth.
You're probably right about that. Yeah.
Instead of letting Jackie Robinson go and do his thing and still support the Negro League, we ran to the baseball league and never gained the support for our own league that we had at that time. We were probably in the best position in sports at that time that anyone was aware of.
And
excuse me, brother?
No, I was going to. You know what happened to those clubs? Those clubs never got, the Negro League clubs never got adequate compensation for letting their players go. I mean, and when you finish making your point, I want to say something about that because I think, we got this integration thing kind of wrong and whatnot. I'll explain what I'll explain it to you.
Integration, that was all wrong. See, we never needed to integrate. They needed us. The only reason they accepted Jackie Robinson is because their league was not successful at the time because it was during the war. Black men were not allowed to fight. They were home, running businesses, playing sports, and living our lives.
Right.
Becoming economically great. But they took Jackie, and with them taking Jackie or allowing him to play in the league, everyone else wanted to follow, but the fans followed, the support followed.
Right.
We had ownership of those teams. There were people like Willie, Sasmo was an owner of one of the teams. We had a lot of teams that were owned, and not to mention the stakeholders, because we couldn't stay in any of the major hotels, so we had our own places of business that people had to support that were black, because you had to eat, you had to sleep, and your uniforms had to be made. We were in an economical powerhouse, but we didn't realize it collectively.
Right. But you know what, though, Rob? I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but I also got to move. I got to get to the break. But Rob, let me say before you leave, though, Rob, let me say this. Like anybody else, I can say I'm all for diversity and integration of society. But here's the thing: it doesn't mean that you still got to have your own. I agree with people. Some people say, "Well, we should." I'm a firm believer of doing both and. I'm a firm believer in, you know what? We need to have more black people at the Philadelphia Inquirer, okay? Because people read that paper, and sometimes, and a lot of us who worked in those newsrooms, sometimes we're like the last line of defense from keeping those editors and reporters from coming up with erroneous stereotypical stuff about black people. And I remember people like good Lord, I'm having Like Elmer Smith. Like Elmer Smith would tell me all the time about that. Elmer Smith and others, you know, who worked in those newsrooms. But you still need to have a strong black press. You still need to have strong black businesses. Okay? So, and I got to go to break on that. But don't get it twisted. I'm for diversity in all society. We pay taxes in the society. But I do believe you got to have, because God bless the child that has his own. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WRD, Black Talk Media. We'll be right back.
Hey, Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorosos.com for details.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com. The Word Radio Newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio Newsletter. Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media.
Okay, we're back. We got several people. Is Yvette still with us? Did she leave? She's gone. Okay. So we have Jacob from Albany. Jacob, what's happening?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah, hey, look, every once in a while I see you get fired up and then you calm yourself down. But that's cool. You know, you got control like that, brother.
Yeah.
But, you know, just talking about people here in Philadelphia, right? Sports and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm truly a blessed person because when you talk about our most recent ancestors, I think about Walter P. Lomax, and to him I would say a belated happy birthday.
Yes.
And he's still precious today.
No doubt, no doubt.
So, and then I look at like Muhammad Ali. I heard you speak about Muhammad Ali and greats like Joe Frazier. You know, me, I used to travel with the Delphonics, right? And that's how I got to meet Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
He used to do the college lectures, and the Delphonics, who were members of the Nation of Islam at the time, we did the music, you know.
Right.
So that's why I got to shake his hand. I shook the hand of Dr. Walter Lomax, right? That's why I feel I'm blessed. And then we go to Joe Frazier, the heavyweight champion of the world.
Love Joe Frazier.
Joe, he was such a kind guy, man. I'm telling you. Now, I shook these men's hands, so I ain't owed nothing, man. I'm telling you, I feel like, and we could go on and on. I'm talking about right here in Philadelphia now.
Right.
But you know what we see? People are waking up, white and black, and seeing what the deal is. But, you know, that's the beautiful thing about this. You know, you look at Joe Frazier. he helped Muhammad Ali when nobody else helped him when he was
absolutely.
Going through some hard times,
that is
right?
true. Absolutely true.
He was the heavyweight champion of the time. He didn't have to give Muhammad Ali that championship fight, right?
Right.
But he did it because of his. I'm telling you, these men that we've been given right in this area, our ancestors, most recent,
right.
They've been some of the greatest men. If we look at I ain't even going to talk about Leon Sullivan, or people like that. But you know what? Y'all talking the right thing. Sports, we going to get it together, but it shouldn't be, we shouldn't put people in harm's way, whether it be sports, schools, or whatever.
No.
We got to wait till this thing die down. That's commonsensical, right, Chris?
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, we just gotta take pause. I know we want to be entertained. I missed the Roots picnic this year. I really did.
Yeah.
I mean, I go every year. I may be the oldest guy there, but the thing is, I go because I love the music. I support the music. And the thing is, I want to be outside. I'm an outdoor kind of guy, okay?
Okay.
But the thing is, with this virus, I mean, no. We got to get it under control because that virus is affecting our communities. That's the problem. The virus is affecting our particular communities, man. I mean, I get a little upset. There was a big twerking contest in New Jersey. Why? Why do this?
They need entertainment, man.
I mean, we need entertainment. I mean, don't get twisted. I love entertainment, but the thing is, but not at the risk of my life.
No, not at all.
Not at the risk. Not at the risk of and other people's life. It ain't just about me. I wear a mask. I mean, the masks are the most uncomfortable things in the world when I'm walking around, but I got to do it because, we got to think of others. If anything, I hope we get out of this pandemic is that we learn to support each other. Stop shooting each other in the streets, but just learn to embrace and support each other.
Yeah, hey, Chris, can I lastly say, look, that great contract starts off with we the people. It don't say they the people.
Right.
I'm so sick of hearing people say, well, they set it up like this. They. That contract don't say nothing about they. They don't have a job. Everything the government gets, they get out of our pocket. When we start recognizing a little more about what that contract really says, we, the people, we should have the power, and if we don't have it, we should ask ourselves, why? Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Brother Joe from Germantown. Brother Joe, as always, I love having you on the show. What's happening, man?
But first, let me say this. Before I talk about the mistreatment of the black athlete in the city, just like Jacob, I met Muhammad Ali and shook his hand on many occasions. Joe Frazier, Dr. Walter Lomax, I shook them brothers' hands as well, and I'm honored to say I did that, But, I want to say a shout-out to Brother DJ Frosty Phoenix and Brother Dave Frisk. Hope and pray that my brother is coming along well. What's the name of the brother that called a few cars and was passionate about the mistreatment of the black athlete? What's the name of that brother they called a few cars ago? I forgot his name.
They're talking about the caller?
Don't worry about it. That's beside the point. I definitely would like to know the brother's name, but I'm sure y'all find it out at some point. But I like what the brother was saying because he helped with my sentiment. See, I look at it just with the Deshaun Jackson situation because I'm saying to myself, now when Valley Cooper made his racist comments and stuff, Jeff Lurie, nor did the media, nor did the Eagles brass make this boy jump through hoops. He called out people the N-words. He effed us up, all that kind of stuff. He wasn't. Now, you got black ministers in this town, prominent black ministers. You got Reverend Wilder. You got others, Bishop Felton. Reverend Barber. You got the list goes on and on. The Eagles didn't make Valley Cooper go for some sensitivity training. He didn't have to go to the black church.
I agree with that.
He didn't have to go to the African Art Museum. But they're making Deshaun Jackson jump through hoops. He got to go to Israel or Poland or whatever. Why he got to go through all that stuff? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying with the double standard when it comes to blacks and it comes to white people.
I agree with that.
It's a shame that this man got out of his own pocket. Got to take a Holocaust survivor and pay for him to go over there for some kind of understanding. You should have did it to Riley Cooper. You know what I mean? I'm tired of the double standard, man.
No, Brother Joe, you preaching to the...
They emasculate a black man. And I'm going to tell you something. Whether people like it or not, Chris, they proven Minister Rodney Muhammad right when he said that the people that control you, you criticize them, they come at you. But the way they're attacking Minister Rodney and Deshaun Jackson and others, they proven the minister right. You know what I mean? They've proven, whether you like it or not, they've proven him right. Minister Rodney told the truth. They've proven him right with their vicious attacks that they don't attack on others. I have never in my life, Chris, said anything derogatory about white Jewish people. And you know, I just know from a historical standpoint, but here, Richard Nixon, Donald Trump and others have called these people all kinds of names. Remember, Trump said the Nazis was very fine people. So, but I heard them take our ass in the paper going after Donald Trump. Richard Nixon, the Reverend Billy Graham, who many black Christians and white hold as some kind of icon. Him and Nixon in the White House, because the tapes don't lie, Chris. They said some derogatory things about Jewish people. I mean,
no doubt about it.
I don't hear them ADL come out against these people, but somebody like this criticize their mistreatment of Palestinians, or all hell breaks loose. I just get so tired of double standard, but I'll leave it at that, Chris, and deal with sports real quick. Chris, like you, I love sports. But I've been thinking about this thing. I didn't really think about it too much. I think personally, because I know it won't happen, but I think they should just cancel everything. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, and just play next year. Because like you say, nobody's help is worth it. That's why like Marquise Goodwin, the Eagles receiver. He said, look, I lost twin girls. Because, you know, and stuff with my wife, I just was blessed with a 5-month-old daughter. I'm not going to jeopardize my daughter's health. I'm sitting out the season, and I don't blame Brother Marquis.
I don't blame him either.
But it's like you say, Chris, we could get this thing under control, and you might have a vaccination or whatever by then, and just play sport. No game is worth, no Eagles Dallas game. As much as I like that rivalry, no Lakers Celtics. None of this works for nobody's health, man. Just put this thing on pause, stop it, and just do it. Just start over next year.
I would agree with you.
Can I ask you one more question, Chris?
Ask me one more question.
Hey, Chris, do you ever notice, Chris, maybe I'm putting too much in this. Do you notice, Chris, this year was going off pretty good because Kansas City had finally made it to the Super Bowl. It seemed like, Chris, that everything started going downhill when Kobe and his daughter and the 7 other crew got killed in the plane crash. Because look at the timeline, brother, Chris. After Kobe was killed, it was a few days from February. You remember, Chris, you had your first case of coronavirus in February. It was only isolated cases. Then by March, Brother Chris, it hit a pandemic. Remember around March 12th, 13th, that's when they start shutting things down around the country and around the world. So it seems like after Kobe's tragic death, him and his beautiful daughter and the 7 other people, it's like everything started going downhill ever since, Chris. Think about that. I just want to get your thoughts on that, Chris. Thanks, my brother. Peace.
Well, first of all, Joe, you are right. There is a double standard on a lot of the way black athletes are treated. I do think that although there was an incident within the Philadelphia, I remember Kerry Williams was about to punch Riley Cooper, and he said, I ain't that N-word, but that's another story. But when it comes down, I don't know about the correlation I have with Kobe. I don't like to make those types of correlations between Kobe's death. I think it's a coincidence, but I don't like to do that because I just think, you know, there's a whole lot of other things that I think that are going on in the world, but, you know, that's interesting. But I don't like double standards either, and I do think sometimes, you know, as much as I don't like anti-Semitic comments, I do think that whenever someone creates an act of bigotry, I think that people have to learn to stop doing that. You know, I'll be just as hard on a Riley Cooper type that would say that as I am with someone else. And I'm tired of oppression. I'm tired of people of color and people who've been oppressed in various ways tearing at each other. Because, like I say again, the enemy of all of us is systemic racism and bigotry and, you know, people who hate poor people and economic inequality. And white people are also affected by that too, as well as black people. Fishman from University City. Fishman, I'm thinking about learning how to fish, man. I'm because, you know, I have an aunt. My Aunt Judy loves to fish, and I'm gonna get her on the phone this week. I might get her on his show to talk about fishing, y'all. So I'm gonna go get my rod and reel. Because I like trout.
And you know what the biggest thing is? Just being outside.
Yeah.
Just being able to talk to God.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, I don't care if I hunt and I fish. Me and my wife, Beth. But guess what? It ain't about harvesting. It's just being able to connect with God.
That's beautiful. I like that. That's true. I like that. That's a beautiful thing. That really is.
I I like to give you my commentary about access to the media. As you were saying earlier, I have no credentials. I have no badge. And I walk into any venue that I'm able to when I show up. I'm talking about around the world. I have been there with my camera. The late Big Rob Murray used to call me the roving reporter. Where you come from? I'm here. Come on in.
Okay. All right.
Man, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Mr. Dick Gregory. I had no badge. I had no credentials.
And you don't. And you know what, man? You don't often need it. You really don't. I mean, sometimes. And the thing is, you know, that's the thing. And I believe that because, like I said again, I've met people like Joe Frazier. I've met, I've met people in this town. I love meeting people in this town, which is why I like when you guys call the show. I love talking to you guys. I really do. Even when we don't always see eye to eye, then, I don't believe in canceling you out because we don't see eye to eye. Because, sometimes I may learn something. I may look at something a little differently. I may look at things, and I may even understand when people say certain things, because when it comes to racism, I understand the hurt. And some of the things we may say is based out of that hurt, that racism, the trauma, and we've been traumatized by that. And that's never lost on me. We still with me?
I would say finally, like I said, I've been in many places and seen many things. I would leave my job, my profession, and they had Tuesday night fights and Friday night fights around the country. And I would pack my stuff up, and my family would say, "Where are you going?" I had 2 dimes to rub together, none to give out. And they would see me in the front row of the show on ESPN. And they said, "You got some money." I said, "I ain't got no," and they couldn't believe the access. And I heard you talk about badges and credentials. I had none. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much, Fishman. Well, like I say again, that's an interesting point there. Before I get to Pots and Pans and Walter Davis, I'm gonna I gotta bring in John Mitchell into the conversation. John, how are you, brother?
Hey, Chris, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay. I'm going to get to my calls for a quick second, but I wanted to ask you real quick. You look at this, the attempt to play sports in this pandemic. The NBA had a successful opening. LeBron James had an interesting game, but what are your thoughts on this as you watching this? You and I have been in these press boxes. We've been on the field talking to guys all our careers. Should we be playing sports right now?
Probably not. You watch all these games and you're a fan, everybody's a fan, but I just think that, we're kind of in a moment that's a little too serious. People just have bigger issues. Like, typically this time of year, you're expecting to see the Eagles play, just looking forward to that. But the reality of it is, people are losing relatives, family and friends, and we're stuck in a moment where it just doesn't seem, the level of importance to me is diminished. For those teams that have actually started playing, like I don't think baseball is going to make it. I think baseball is already at the point where they're getting ready to say, we can't do this. I think of all the sports, I think the NBA has the best chance. But once guys start turning a positive, it just goes around. So I'm not focused on, Eagles training camp and all that stuff. Right now, people just have bigger issues.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and that's where I'm at. But I'm gonna hold that thought because I gotta move some calls through. So stay with us, John, because I want to bring you back. Okay, so Pots and Pans from West Philly.
Hey, Chris. I'm enjoying the show as normal, as usual. Hey, I want to say, give a good shout out to Clyde, who brought me home a few years ago from a sports talk show. And I want to give a shout out to Brother Jacob. Me and him just played football side by side together.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, look, all these athletes that's playing these sports here, I'm looking very doubtful on their brain, on their thinking. We shouldn't have to even give our opinions on how we feeling. And I'm like you and others still, though. It's really crazy, even playing any kind of sport, any kind of contact sports. I just give them an SS, super stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that's at. But I can't see nobody playing those sports until this thing is over.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why would the athletes that's out there, they're supposed to get paid all this money and they're supposed to be halfway intelligent? How do they fall down or get sick and die, or before they realize how serious this thing is? It's just really crazy. I just give it an SS like super stupid. I just can't understand how they doing this. It's crazy. And I'm in agreement with y'all. And nobody misses sports more than me. Everybody here is calling and listening. We all sports lovers, but we can find something else to do, just like the athletes that's actually out there playing these sports. I want you to help me explain how they're thinking.
Okay.
How they kind of even thinking, to even get out there and do this. There's the one guy for the Eagles, like y'all mentioned. Joe just mentioned, what's the guy? He want to take care of his daughter.
Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah. And how can the rest of them get smart like him? Don't worry about the money. It's just worry about their health. And I wish you can kind of explain how they're even thinking like this. And one of the callers that said about how sports players was, back in the Black Negro League when things was going on, how they was treated and stuff. And that's that, and that was terrible. But we done came a long way since then. But why can't they, now do like we should do, as far as pulling itself together and saying, hey, we're not having this no more unless you start tightening up. If they pull themselves together, they can do it. I'm gonna sit back and listen, like I'm enjoying the show as normal. But if you could kind of explain how these players are thinking, but not shutting things down like they could do.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying the show, and you got anything to say on that?
Oh, no doubt about it. I agree with you that when Kaepernick was taking a knee and they basically blackballed him, I think the players should have come together and said, you know what, we're not going to play. Just like kids at the University of Missouri basically threatened to shut things down when there was racism on that campus. And the same thing that the Grambling kids did when they felt that, their own black institution was not treating them right. They said, we're not going to play homecoming at Jackson State. And people got upset about it, but the conditions that the Grambling players were living with, they had to take a stand. And I think that when athletes realize that power, and I think they're starting to realize that power, then maybe we can have some dialogue about treating people with equality. But when we start getting into this, just shut up and play. See, this is where I think a lot of our white brothers and sisters become tone deaf. Let me think. Who came first? Was it okay? I got to go to break. When we come back, good Lord, I'm having too much fun here today, y'all. I want to bring in Brother Tim, and then Walter, and then Maurice, and then I'm going to yield the balance of our time to John Mitchell to talk about these things. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation? Follow us on social media using the hashtag onWURD. Be heard. Stay connected to Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
As the Philadelphia Housing Authority's offices remain closed to keep everyone safe, residents can now make their payments online. Go to pha.phila.gov and select the online payment option. PHA is opening doors to opportunities.
Did you get an eviction notice before the shutdown? Are you looking for a lawyer once the moratorium ends? There's so many questions with so little time. Let Equally Informed Philly find the answers for you. Just text the phrase Equal Info to the number 73224. Again, that's Equal Info, one word, to 73224. Their community information line will get the answers you need to survive in the time of COVID-19. Equally Informed Philly for all Philadelphians.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
My dad came to live with us last month, and it's going pretty well. I feel like I never have time for myself. With him being around more, it really lets us catch up on things. His memory isn't what it used to be. We get up and we have coffee. He usually wakes up at 4:30. Then we go for a walk. He needs lots of my attention. I do need to keep an eye on his medications, though. That's important. Sometimes I feel like a pharmacist. I'd say John and the kids are adjusting pretty well. They honestly have no idea what I'm going through. It can be a little challenging, but so far so good. I could really use just a little help.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers for advice, tips, and support. Together, let's help each other better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Okay, we're back. Now, we got several callers on with us. I want to give everybody quickly, Brother Tim from South Philadelphia. What's up, Brother Tim?
On time, man. That's good. That you're around, man, with all the information, the people that you bring,
right,
the information that you give out, that's all good, Brother Murray. I'm going to say to you, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones. And I thought about the heavyweight Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali fighting Archie Moore. I think he fought Archie Moore when Archie Moore was in his 50s, or at least 50s.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly. So I said to myself, I think Mike Tyson's about 55, maybe, early 50. So what about Roy Jones? How old is Roy?
Roy might be Roy might be in his late 40s, I want to say. But I think it would be entertaining. I think people will come out. I think people will come out to watch just for the curiosity. But I love both of those guys. I love Roy Jones Jr. and I love my fight. You know, I was just watching yesterday Marvin Hagler and John the Beast Mugabe, and watching how great, because I go back. Well, I like watching old fights, but the thing is, I just don't want to see. And I know I got on Bernard Hopkins' nerves. I said, Bernard, come on, man, you gotta retire, brother. I don't want to see you, because you want, like I said, you want the greatest of all time. You have nothing else to prove. But Father Time is usually the champ of the world. I mean, if they're gonna go at it, I think that I do think this. So let me say this: that if they were in their primes, and let's say that Roy Jones Jr. was a heavyweight or a light heavy or a heavyweight versus Mike Tyson. And if Roy Jones were a natural heavyweight, okay, let's not the contrived heavyweight I think he tried to become, but if he were a natural heavyweight and fought Mike Tyson, I'm taking Roy Jones in that fight. I'm taking Roy Jones because boxing skills. He was just a bet. Not to say that Mike was a good boxer. Now don't get it, but Mike in his prime was a great boxer. He was a great guy who could box. And once he hit you, that was it. That was it. It's just that I think the distraction of Robin Givens, Don King, and all that other stuff, all the outside distractions, I think ruined what I think could have been one. And he's still a giant in this game, in the sport of boxing.
I'm going to say this about him. He's still marketable.
Right.
If he needs a buck, he's getting it honestly. So I want them both to get the money.
Right.
It's only exhibition.
Right.
Number two, that remember that Mike Tyson, before all those distractions, was a great fighter with Cuss in his corner.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Mike Tyson's a different person then and now.
Right.
So I believe with Mike Tyson's training, you ever see Mike Tyson train?
Oh, yeah.
My God. Listen to me. Pull up. Sugar Ray Robinson jumping rope. Pull up Ali jumping rope. Put up Liston jumping rope. And put up Mike Tyson. Now, no, listen to me.
Mike Tyson was a student of the game.
Listen to me. The best rope jumpers, without a doubt, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Right.
But Mike Tyson, man, look how he pulls that rope with that speed. And, for him to have been his size, he was fast. He didn't realize how fast he was. He had power.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then the other thing, he was a boxer puncher. He was just not a slugger.
But that's precisely my point.
Ali, you take Ali and Frazier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Frazier had more heart than he did brains. So the thing is that, but the way he could punch. But Tyson, if you take Tyson next to Frazier, Tyson's more accurate. Now, listen to this. With a clear mind, and with Roy's clear mind, it'd be a good fight. I give it to Tyson. Now, I like Roy, but I give it to Tyson.
I got you. I mean, you probably make a good. I mean, styles make fights. I mean, I hear that, because Mike Tyson, this is the thing, people got mad at me a couple of weeks ago when I said, when Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury, and, maybe there was something in Fury's goes, I don't know. But what I do know is that, and I think, Tim, you know this too, let's be honest, Deontay Wilder, while a hard puncher, had no boxing skills. Let's be honest about it. And the thing is, if he had boxing skills, then maybe he takes, even Tommy Hearns had boxing skills with that right hand, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, you've got to be able to have those skills. I mean, I watched a rerun of Hagler Mugabe. Mugabe, before he fought Hagler, was just knocking guys out. But when you're a one-dimensional fighter against a guy like Marvin Hagler, or I'll go even to Sugar Ray Leonard's, when you fight those guys who will methodically break you down, they ain't got to knock you out with one punch. I mean, and by the time they reach the 11th round, basically, Hagler had Mugabe because he took him in deep water and knocked him out. So my thing is that if you're a boxer puncher, you're a bad mofo. I can't say the other word on the radio, but when you get to that point, a lot of people don't get that with boxing. My thing is that Tyson tried to become too much of a slugger after all the distraction. He believed, and sometimes knockout artists like Hearns and like Mike Tyson, you're so enamored with your punching ability that sometimes you forget to fight. Even Sugar Ray Leonard, late in his career, tried to after he beat Donnie Lalonde, took a lot of punishment because he thought he wanted to hit that one. I mean, even when you think you can punch, sometimes you got to still box to get to that punch. You gotta
only one person knew. See, and you gotta remember, boxing is more mental than it's physical.
No doubt.
And see, here's the thing, and that's something that Ali knew, and that's something that he had above all of his opponents. That he beat them before he got in the ring with them. So my thing is that Tyson, to me, I don't know him like that, but I don't know if he's had matured to the level like say for instance Foreman. Foreman became better older than younger.
That's right.
He had that maturity at that time. See, so the only person that I knew that always had the maturity from the very beginning, without a doubt, Sugar Ray Robinson.
No doubt.
Pound 100 years.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Tim, I gotta move on. I gotta move on to Walter, man. But I appreciate your insight, bro. I hate to do that. I mean, we've been out here talking boxing all day. But Walter, where are you, brother? How you doing, Walt?
Great conversation there, Chris. Top of the line conversation as your show always exemplifies on Saturdays. Big guy, how are we doing today?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay. The only thing is I kind of miss having Denise out in the studio with me and everything. You know, she's at home getting rest and everything. But other than that, I'm okay.
Give your queen our regards. I was listening to you there. I was blessed to work with you and John Mitchell. In the 27 years I was in sports and entertainment journalism, I was listening to the part earlier in your show you were talking about, and I empathize too, when the major teams are not being faithful to the Philadelphia Sun has been out there well over close to 30 years, I'm sure, or more.
Right.
And for that, the challenge I had during my days, in the earlier days of Philadelphia New Observer of my publication.
Yeah, that's right. I remember, man. I always saw we all Sixers games, covering and breaking down and analyzing the Sixers.
Yes, but I think my recommendation is when you write a letter to the president of the respective team, Jeffrey Lurie in particular and all, and tell them what's going on and give them that demographic community that this son ascertains and reaches out to. How can they try to alienate one of the greatest black publications, the Philadelphia Sun?
Well, let me say this about the Eagles. The Eagles have been good. I mean, Eagles.
Eagles. Boykin,
yeah. I mean, well, Boyko's not there anymore, but.
Oh no, okay.
Yeah, he's in Buffalo, but the thing is that the Eagles have been pretty good. I will say that. I will say that the Eagles. I have a great relationship with the Eagles, and they always have us there. We're listed in the NFL Black Book. Everybody around the country knows us and all that other stuff. The Phillies have been pretty good with us. The Flyers, when I've decided to cover the Flyers games, they've been pretty good. The Sixers, not so good, but it's something that we can work on.
And then most of their players are African American.
Right.
And in conclusion, when Biden does win, of all people, Colin Kaepernick deserves a community affairs, national community affairs.
You talking about a Medal of Freedom? I think he does too.
Yeah.
I think that Colin Kaepernick does deserve the Medal of Freedom for him standing up, for his consciousness. So I definitely
Ali, he changed the world, just like Ali. He's changing the world.
Okay.
And we can't thank him enough. Well done, big guy.
All right, thank you. Okay, I got I got to get everybody quick today. Maurice from Southwest. Maurice, how are you, man?
I'm good, but you ain't moving quick.
All right, I'm trying to move quick, man.
I'm just messing with you. Listen, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I can't believe that you guys were even talking about the Tyson, but you got two has-beens in the ring, and it's an exhibition. Come on, man. It's not. I wouldn't even turn. I wouldn't even look on the news at the 11 o'clock or the next day to even find out who won, because it's an exhibition. First of all, second of all, at both of any of their careers, they were getting knocked out. So I don't want to hear nothing about it. So look, and plus, what Roy Jones probably walking around? That's probably his natural way that he's walking around with. You know what I mean? He's probably done ballooned up a little bit, because once you stop that training, you start liking that posture. So let's tell the truth. Now let's get to some of the main points there. I hear a lot of people talking about they want to be some half Malcolm X, talking about what the players need to do. These players have trained all their life to get to this spot. And I guess everybody forgot about Hodges from Chicago Bulls.
Craig Hodges. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They talk about everybody else that's well known, but they don't talk about the other guys that suffered, that they worked their whole career to get there, and they decided to make a stand, and then they got wiped off the map.
Mm-hmm.
See, it takes a lot of courage to be a Muhammad Ali or a Colin Kaepernick to do what they do.
Right.
You just don't get they don't come a dime a dozen.
No.
So when you get a guy that stands out, don't be talking about what they should do, because they're not going to do it. One guy chose the money, and I'm not mad at him either. Jordan chose the money. He says, I want to be a billionaire. I'm not taking no causes. But we don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, though. But we know up front he's not showing that face. See, we can't judge him because we actually don't know who he's giving money to and who he's helping.
Right, that's true, too, yeah.
See, because a lot of people do that. You know, they just stay behind the scenes. They work inside the system. People don't understand how these things go. Like people in the city don't know nothing about politics, but they talk about it every day. They have no idea what they're talking about. So I won't get off early because I'm respected that you need the time, and I just wanted to let you know that. And I am Chris Murray.
Thank you, Maurice. As always, I appreciate your insight. You bring it every time you're on the show. Let me bring in Woody from the barbershop, man. I need to shave my head today, man.
Well, all you got to do is come on by, and when you get here, make sure you bring Brother John Mitchell with you.
I
started on Brother John Mitchell when he was a very little guy, maybe with some diapers on. So I just want him to know I'm very proud of him.
Yeah.
His father, Reverend Mitchell, was outstanding. His brother now, a pastor as well. I'm just proud of you young guys, man. And I have to say it when I see you doing your work. Chris, you're doing a great, great job.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate that. But there is essence, and there's things in the atmosphere, the spirit. We forget our heroes too quickly. See, Mike Tyson and all the others that are still living, we should be glad they're alive.
I am
what
too.
I want to talk to Mitchell about is to share with him, I think that this is an opportunity. Look at this wrestling thing. We all know that that's not real. Can you imagine doing stories on these guys' lives after they're not doing what they used to do? But if they can still bring people into the audience, let them do it. But it should be an addition about their lives and what they had to suffer to get through to get to where they were. And I think that could be a heck of a learning tool for many of our other younger children that are on the way up.
I would agree with that because, and John, because I think that we talk about a lot of people in this town who are athletes and people who do things, but and even us who are in the media world, people don't know the struggle that we go through as journalists. And John will tell you this, especially as black sports journalists working in these newspapers and sometimes in these hostile environments, sometimes at the mainstream press. You know, that's why I admire guys like Asel Moore and my man Elmer Smith, who I'm gonna try to drag into the show. Just get him on the show because I love Elmer. You know, Elmer's one of my mentors in this game, and you know, a lot of people see us in the media, even a Stephen A. Smith. People say what you want about Stephen A. We all have our stories about going through this profession, and it's not easy. And the same thing in sports, it is not easy for a lot of people who play. People think that athletes have it made in the shade, man, and, you know, there's a lot that people bring their own baggage into. So it's a struggle like anything else. John, I got John Mitchell. John, I'm going to bring you back here. You know, you saw the NBA the other day, the people embracing themselves, even though I think that right now we shouldn't be playing sports, and we'll deal. I want you to mix in that a little bit too. But what did you think of what happened with the NBA players and WNBA showing that kind of solidarity, coming back from, you know, with everything that's going on in this country regarding Black Lives Matter and the processes that we've had in this country?
Yeah, Chris, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out Woody, who was my very first barber, man. It's great to hear his voice. Always great to hear his voice. Always good to see him when we do. Love you, brother. But yeah, I really like what the NBA has been doing. The black athletes, the white athletes, Tobias Harris using his platform whenever they ask him questions, he kind of points to the mundaneness of talking about sports when we're in the moment that we're in. I don't know how any African American can have a problem with LeBron James' public image. I saw he did an interview last week, 11-minute interview, and all he wanted to talk about was the situation in Kentucky, arresting Breonna's, the cops who have done that. So it's great to see people, all across the rainbow, of sports, particularly the NBA, making it a point. And when I watched games last night, you're looking at the uniforms, and it's like, they're taking this serious.
Right.
Now, does it mean there will be institutional change? No, I'm not saying that, but it's bringing attention to it.
Right.
I'm never going to be the critic who says, yeah, but what else are they doing? Because the question is always, what else am I doing in my individual precinct? Anybody, we have too much Monday morning quarterbacking going on. So I'm glad to see what I'm seeing. Seeing Colin Kaepernick being proven to be right as an African American, what could be better than to see the NFL recant its position, even if it hasn't acknowledged him. Everything is a process. You're not going to get what you want because it took us. You're not going to think your eyes. This is an I dream of genie, and you're going to get the result that you want. It took us 400 years to get to this point. It's going to take a while. We won't see it in our lifetimes.
Right.
But I always think how I was so happy, that my mother was able. My father, bless his heart, was not fortunate enough to see a black president, but my mom is still alive. And we used to say, Mom, you'll never see a black president. You'll never see it. And we've had a black president, and now we're looking at the very real prospects of having an African American female as the vice president. So I don't think even with Major League Baseball, the player to take your knee.
Right.
And let's be quite honest, as we go into these locker rooms, we know that is the redneck sport. Let's be quite honest and call it what it is.
Hey, John, can you hold that thought, because we got to pay the bills and they got to go to break. Hey, but hold that thought, though, because we're coming right back to it. You're listening to 900 AM and 96.1 FM, WURD, and the Chris Murray Report. Will be right back.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. Have an old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Pico will pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you a $75 rebate. That's right, $75. Plus, you can save as much as $150 a year on your energy bill by getting rid of it. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. Be sure your fridge or freezer is plugged in and working at time of pickup.
Listen live at wordradio.com.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at 4Word. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we're back. We have John Mitchell, veteran journalist, who's been a sports writer and a sports commentator for a long time. So, John, you were talking about the fact that even a sport like baseball, and God knows, if you look at the press box, you're absolutely right about that. But baseball has embraced this thing, and you make an interesting point by saying we're not going to solve this problem overnight. But do you like the fact that we at least have some type of running start or some type of effort in that direction?
Yeah, I do. I think that, and I have my mask on, Chris, if you have a hard time hearing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some momentum behind this now that there never was before.
Right.
You have to go back to the 1960s with Carlos and Jim Brown and those guys.
Right.
Let me take this mask. And we thought we would never see this. We never thought we would see get to this point that it's gotten to.
Right.
So to see this momentum now currently is it's unbelievable, and it's headed in the right direction. It's headed in the right direction, and I'm just happy for it. I'm happy to see it.
Right.
I'm very happy to see it.
I'm happy to see it myself, but I still think that I'm a firm believer in having doing something tangibly for the community. Martin Luther King and his critique in Where Do We Go From Here of Black Power. And I'm with him in the sense that, yes, Black Lives Matter. It's a good slogan, but it has to matter to me in terms of action and policy and law. That police officers are held to, that number one, police are held accountable for the acts that they commit, and that they also do the job to truly connect with the community to stop crime and stop approaching the community. This is where all these, people from the FOP get this whole thing wrong. It's not, when people say reform the police or, or defund the police, I don't think that they mean stop the police from coming. What we're asking you to do is truly care about the community that you're patrolling and don't try to just shoot people down, because the thing is, I respect police officers. They have a a glamorous job that they have to do to keep, things, people but when they shoot people unarmed or when they don't see these people as human beings, that's where I get upset. Because a lot of times, oddly enough, I was waiting outside in the shopping center down in Elton, Maryland. It was hot outside. I was calling an Uber, and a guy from a police officer from the Natural Resources Police, said, "Man, you're out here too hot. Let me take you home." And at first I was kind of reluctant, but I got to talking to the guy. Not all of them are bad. But at the same time, that there has to be reform. Cops have to be held accountable when they shoot an unarmed Breonna Taylor and shoot her to death. And don't get mad when people call for reform, because I don't like what's going on either when they say, well, we're not going to come if you keep criticizing us. And I'm like, man, you know what? That's the problem. There's too many. You're allowing the bad cops to dictate the policy and not letting the good cops come in and say, hey, you have to, we have to restrain that kind of behavior, because that's the real issue there.
Right, and like you said, I've had this conversation a few times because I covered police when I was at the Philadelphia Tribune, and I got to know a lot of police officers, and they're not all bad. There's some it's not even close to them being all bad, but they're bad apples, and that's just, when you're a bad apple in police, there is, you can't hide.
Right.
I know a number of white officers who had they been in that situation with George Floyd would have jumped in and stopped him and said, hey, man, come off the guy. I know white officers who would have done that. But I think we have to acknowledge that there is, policy and legislation. We've seen some of the stuff coming out of right here in City Council. They're not defunding the police. They're just allocating money where it can be used more efficiently.
Right.
They're because it's not all just aim, shoot. They're allocating money I mean, look, we've got the ballot. On the ballot question is going to be about, getting rid of stop and frisk entirely. In November, we had the move, by council to, to ensure that you have residency for at least a year, which will start getting more African Americans and, black Philadelphians on the police force. The police force is still 60% white, and our city is 40% black.
Right.
So it's it's good to see policy, because the only thing that's going to happen is policy and legislation will really start changing that. And hearts have to change. Hearts have to change as well, because people can harbor this ill will toward people. And if it's not changed, if it's allowed to persist, if it's not attacked, like with the Black Lives Matter protest, and you see mostly white people involved in that protest, I welcome those people.
I do too.
I do too, because, we've fussed against it by ourselves long enough, and what fruit has fallen from the tree? You need allies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You do need allies because, and the thing is, the most important thing is I think that we have to evolve to a point to where we have some sort of empathy for one another.
Right.
And we got to have some sort of empathy in the sense that, at the end of the day, we're human beings. And if you put people in poverty, and you see this all over the world, they're going to reach it. They're going to prey upon each other, which is why I don't normally give people shout outs, but Kenyatta Johnson in his district has been doing a lot of marches for black people who are killed by a homicide. And the thing is, we need people like that we need to be just as involved in those issues. And I'm not saying that those issues, I mean, all between police killings and people shooting each other, all byproducts of systemic racism and poverty. They're all byproducts of the same thing. And I would like to see us, I'd like to see the athletes say some things about that too. I mean, I still remember, between the East Coast rappers and the West Coast rappers I remember Self-Destruction. Y'all remember that late 1989, and then what's his name? God, why am I having senior moment? Why am I having? I'm thinking about my man from Oakland. God. MC Hammer. MC Hammer, they did this thing called, we're all in the same gang. And this, we've got to stop these things. We got to stop those things, and we got to come up with, that's why sometimes when Maurice from Southwest comes on, I'm for having a gym like boxing, going back to having more gyms. Not that everybody's going to be heavyweight champ, but sometimes you got to work out that hostility through sport. Sometimes, a lot of times you just box it out. Whoever wins, whoever loses, we solve the problem. Not that I think violence, we got to look at other things other than violence, but we got to use some type of outlet to stop doing these things. But we have to do it, but we really have to attack systemic racism in this society. That's my opinion.
I agree. And again, we have to continue to have allies. We have to continue this momentum, and it's good to see it in sports. It's good to see it, and the fact that, again, I'm not really in favor of sports taking place right now, but as long as it's going to be there, you want to see the athletes being involved, in this movement.
Right. Well, John, we gotta end it right here, man. Thank you for taking time. I know you're one of the busiest men in America, and I definitely appreciate your time today, man. I gotta say this. I'm giving a shout out to a couple of people. One, my producer, Eric Nixon, who's the man on the wheels of steel, and all my young, like I say, I want to give a shout out to him because he's done a great job. And David, I hope you get better. David Fritz, I hope you come back out here again, man, because I definitely miss, having you here. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, all the callers, all the callers who called in today. Whether you agree or disagree, if we disagree on something, we agree to disagree, but we do it, agreeably. I guess I said that right. But the thing is, call in. We love to have you. So keep calling, and thank you for calling in today. We will see you next week on the Chris Murray Report on WURD. Have a great weekend, everybody.